Hey peeps, Naisha here and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to y'all about Choice's new story that came out Friday, which is called The Cursed Cloak. Before I get into the story, I just want to say please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's get into what the story is about. Also, there will be spoilers, but before I do spoilers, I'm just going to tell you my overall thoughts and opinions about chapters 1 and 2 first, and then I get into the spoilers. Okay, my thoughts about chapter 1 and 2. I actually enjoyed it. I guess I'm a sucker for fantasy, and not only fantasy, but I'm a sucker for I'm a sucker for stories of like the fairy tales that we know and love be reinvented, like have like a twist to it. I love those type of stories, and The Cursed Cloak is one of those, mainly because it's giving me Little Red Riding Hood again with a twist. And with that being said, what else? Oh yeah, I liked it so far. It's very intriguing. It keeps me on my toes. There's there's also just a little bit of flirtatious. There's no one kissing and things like that. It's just a little bit flirty, but not too much. It's not over the top. Um, and so far, the MC, you can name her whatever you want. I name her Carew, so I'm gonna use Carew for this review. But Carew overall, I have no beefs with her. She seems like a normal, down to earth person who just happens to be in this predicament and has to get out of this predicament. That's all I'm gonna say without spoiling things for now. But overall, yeah, I like it. I didn't stop playing it or took a break or anything like that. After I played chapter 1, I went into chapter 2, and now I'm excited for chapter 3 to see what happens next. Now, that's all I have to say without spoiling things. Now, let's get to the spoiling parts and things like that. Okay, so in the story, you can play as Carew. Well, you can either play as a man, woman, or even a non-binary person. I chose to play as a female, and I'm gonna be honest. I do. Also, I want to say I do like the avatars of um of your characters. I'm so glad that Pixelberry finally listened a bit, because I'm gonna be honest, some of the avatars, it was getting redundant. Not only that, but most of the regular avatars, most of the avatars, depending on what face you get, some of the hair didn't mix well with any of the your characters, no matter what race you chose, which I thought was kind of weird. I would like for each hair to fit, but hey, if we're gonna save um because I know back way back when, choices didn't really give you now choices gives you locks and afros, which I appreciated. And usually they didn't give you that. And the hairs that they do give you, it don't really fit your character. And for this story, I like the fact that it seemed like each hair that I could give Carew fits her face, whether it's locks, afro, making her into a red hair, making her into a blonde, a brunette, having short hair, having long hair, having hair in a bun. Like, it still fits her face. So I like that a whole lot. I also like the love interest. Of course, I chose male in this book. The two love interests in this story is Vaco and Win. Or you could just, if you chose a female, it would be Vaca, and it'd still be Win, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it'd still be Win if you chose Win to be a male or female. But I like how they look as well and stuff like that. Which I'm so glad, because like I said, some of the love interests, the way they look, I I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I be like, especially if they are cocky and arrogant, it's like, you not with that face. Not trying to be funny at all, but it's like, not with that face. You cannot be cocky and arrogant with that face, because you like, I'm sorry, no. You can't just talk to me any type of way and like, no. Now I'm over the book and stuff like that. But with this, yeah, I like how they actually look. Like, the females are always going to look pretty and beautiful, but it's the males that like be concerning me. So I'm glad that like the males in this book look good. So far I would say that I favor Win a bit more. And I tell you why I favor him over Val. I'm gonna nickname him Val for short, because I feel like I'm saying Val wrong and stuff like that. So I'm gonna nickname him Val. But anyway, okay, so back to the story at hand. In chapter 1, basically we meet Carew, and it starts off with a weird dream. Like, she has a dream that she's running away from a soldier in the armor and as soon as he comes into contact with her, he just dries up and dies. And then of course she leaves the castle and she goes into this forest, and she sees she sees a werewolf. Not a werewolf, a wolf, sorry. She sees a wolf. And the wolf is just like, staring at her curiously. And then next thing you know, she basically falls over to pain. She's in unbearable pain. And then that's how her dream ends. And of course, Carew, she doesn't understand why she's having these dreams, but she's really not thinking nothing of it. Her grandma comes in, well, her adoptive grandma. Her name is, I want to say, Aiko. Is it Eiko? No, I think it's Aiko. But anyway, her adoptive grandmother, comes into the room and is saying that she's glad that like she doesn't have to like wake her up, because usually, I want to say either usually she doesn't get up, but usually she does get up. One of those things. But anywho, after they have this little grandma slash granddaughter, just being just talking. Her grandma asks her to go into the woods to get her some lilies, because she's out. But before she tells her that, she gives her this outfit, and comes with a red cloak, a beautiful red cloak at that. And of course, Carew puts on the cloak, and she of course tells her grandma she'll do it. And her grandma also gives her breakfast for her and for Ren. Ren is Carew's childhood best friend. and they have like a festival that's going to happen in their town. So, he's helping with the festival and things like that. So, so after like her grandma gives her the breakfast, her grandma also tells her like, "Hey, don't take off the cloak," and things like that. And of course, Karu's like, "Yes, grandma, I know you told me millions of times." And she's off on her way. She visits Ren first, and of course, she flirts a little with him. And I like Ren because he's cute. He acts very shocked. He's like, especially when you click on some of the romance choices, like the romance options and stuff, and he just be so shocked and cute and adorable. It's just cute to see. Um, Anywho, after she, gives Ren the breakfast and talks to him for a bit, she goes into the woods and starts collecting lilies. Um, then she feels like someone's watching her, so she calls out like, "Who's there?" And the stranger comes out of nowhere, and he says he's sorry to startle her, and of course she's like, that's okay. Um, she flirts with him a bit, and he's like, "Oh, you both was flirting with a stranger," and she was like, "Yeah, you gotta live a little," type of. I'm sorry, but like some of Karu's responses just be cracking me up. And again, that's why I like it, because like even some of like the little romance responses, like even though it might seem either cheesy or corny, it it still has like, a kind of light-hearted feel to it. So anywho, as she's picking lilies, she realizes that she doesn't see anymore, which makes her sad because she needs to pick more lilies for her grandma. And of course, Val says like, "Hey, I know where you can find more." And so of course he takes her to this meadow in the forest, and she finds the lilies and she ends up picking it, and they end up having a conversation. He talks about how he used to live in the capital, yeah, the capital, and how it's just very busy and crowded, and now he lives in the forest and things like that. And of course, Caruth shows concern because she was like, "Aren't you afraid of like the like being alone and stuff like that?" And he's like, he doesn't mind it and things like that. And then he was like, "Well, why you out here? Aren't you afraid?" And she was like, she hasn't seen any like wild animals like that, so everything's fine and dandy. And so after she finished picking all the lilies that she needs, she gets ready to go. But before she goes, um Val was like, he's sorry, like he has to do this, but like she has something that he needs. And so basically he turns into a wolf, and she's shocked, and she thinks he's going to attack her, but he doesn't. He ends up taking her cloak, and she's like, "Hey, give me back," like, she's trying to run after him, but she can't because like he's a werewolf. Not werewolf, but wolf. I don't know why I keep saying werewolf. He's a wolf. um but yeah, and he runs into the woods. However, before she could even, like I said, before she could even chase after him or do anything about it, she feels like every step she takes feels heavy, and she feels very exhausted. And like when she does fall to the ground, when she picks her hand up, she noticed that the grass that she touched is dead. And of course she freaked out. She's like, "What's going on here?" And so she tries to like, she still keeps walking, and she makes it to Ren's house. And Ren sees her and stuff like that, and he's noticed how like sluggish and how she's just not looking like herself. So he goes to help, and she's like, "No, no, don't touch me." He still ends up touching her because like she's about to fall, and he doesn't want her to fall. So he ends up grabbing her, and of course he's in pain. And like he lets go of her, and she's like, she's freaking out because this is her best friend and she ain't trying to hurt him. So of course he's like, what's going on, what happened, why did he, because he said like, why did it feel like I was dying? And she was like, oh my goodness, it felt like he was dying. And she was like, she don't know what's going on with her, she just knows she's feeling sluggish and things like that. And it just seemed like everything, it seems like everything is just dying every time she touches it. And so she wants to go back to her grandma's house, so because she figures her grandma could fix whatever is going on with her. So they try to figure out like how to get to grandma's house because she could barely walk, and Ren ends up like telling her to get in the wheelbarrow and he'll just wheel her to her grandma's house, which he does. And one of the neighbors sees her and tries to come over and touch her, but like Ren's like, no, 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 we taking her to her grandma's house so she can rest. She's sick right now. Don't touch her and stuff like that. And of course the neighbor's like, oh well, I sent tea over, and then they like just hurry on to grandma's house. And when Carew gets to grandma's house, she feels so much better. She's not sluggish. She's feeling normal. And even Ren noticed that he could touch her again. And he was trying to figure out like what's going on. And that's when Grandma tells her that she has been cursed. And of course, like, I'm shocked, Carew's shocked, Ren's shocked, I'm just saying, everybody's shocked because it's like, excuse me, she's what? And basically, she ends up telling Carew that she's been cursed with, I think she said, what she call the curse? I want to say life draining or something like that. But basically, the curse, like anything she touches, she drains the life out of it. And of course, that freaks Carew out, and she's worried because like Ren had touched her, and like she doesn't know if there's any side effect, but her grandmama assures her that like anything she touches that has like a longer life expectancy, is gonna be hard to like, suck off his life. So by touching Ren just a little bit, it's not going to like do any damage to him and things like that. And so like, that makes her feel better, but she still has more questions. She want to know what happened, like what's all going on. And basically if you played, what is it? If you played what's the name of that book? The Cursed Heart. If you play the Cursed Heart, and if you ever play the Cursed Heart, you know that instead of getting like items, you get stories. And basically this is what happens in this story as well. In the Cursed Cloak, you also get stories, different background stories of different characters. The first chapter you get Grandma's, which hers is titled I want to say Grandma's Love or something like that. And anyway, you basically find out that like her dad, yeah, you find out like when Grandma was young, her dad noticed that she had a gift, and he didn't want like her to be harmed because of that gift, so he tried to suppress it. However, Grandma decided to like learn on her own and just practice and things like that. And so then she fell in love with someone, and they end up having a child, and her child ended up basically thinking that she's better than everybody because she could do magic and stuff. And so there's one day where I think grandma either goes outside. Grandma follows her daughter, and instead of seeing her daughter, she sees a infant crying. And when she goes to pick the baby up, like, she again, she feels pain because the baby is draining her life. Well, just, yeah, it's sucking the life out of her just a bit. And she puts the baby down. I want to say, yeah, she puts the baby down, and she doesn't want to harm the baby because, like, the baby is an infant, and, you know, it's a baby. So she ends up taking the baby and just hiding away in a small town. And that's that. I know Carew asks grandma like who cursed her, and grandma says that she can't tell her. And Rian, he's like, you can't tell her? Like, what? That should be the most important thing. But basically, she can't tell no one the name because I'm assuming that, like, she also been cursed. Like, she can't say the name of the person who cursed Carew. But she does tell Carew that the person is still alive and the person is still after Carew. Even though she put this horrible curse on Carew, she's still after Carew. And of course, Carew asks her why was a curse put on her in the first place. And we find out that it is mainly because the person felt threatened by Carew. I want to say because of like what she would grow up to become and things like that. So and I don't know if anybody else realizes this, but like after like learning about like grandmother's story, I realized just from the first chapter, again from reading grandma's little short story, that the person who put the curse on Carew is the grandma's actual daughter. But hey, that's just my assumption and stuff like that. But anywho, and also because like she said her daughter, like the story said her daughter, so I'm assuming. But anywho, so after she tells her that, she also tells Carew that she has to find a cure for this curse because if she don't, the curse would take her life like what she said in a month's time. And so yeah, but before they could even have a game plan, they hear like screaming, and of course there are monsters after Carew as well, because like I said, the wolf had taken the cloak, and so now the monsters can find Carew, and they find that they find her in the town that she grew up in. And so it's the creatures are wreaking havoc, and of course um like the grandma again is trying to tell Carew what to do, tell who to go to, and things like that. And there's a creature, trying to break down the door, and of course, Ren, he's in fight mode, so he's about to fight. But grandma said, no, I need you to take Carew to where she needs to go next, which is to, I want to say the Fey Woods, yeah, to meet I want to say her name is Irina or something like that. But yeah, to meet, is it, no, I think it's Zarina. But yeah, to meet up with a fae to help her. I'm thinking it's the Vesper Woods. I'm thinking that's what it's called. Either way, to meet up with a fae to help her and stuff like that. And as Ren is trying to push Karoo like out the back, and also not only push Karoo, but like the grandma also is pushing Karoo and Ren back, like to go out the back door. Like the monster comes in, the grandma attacks. However, I think the monster attacks the grandma in a way that seems like it might be a fatal blow type of situation. And of course, Karoo, she's like, grandma, and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's just kind of heartbreaking because it's like, oh no, not grandma. But anywho, Win and Karoo, they basically head to the forest. And of course, Karoo is feeling sluggish again thanks to the curse. And, they end up getting away from the creatures and stuff like that. And, they end up like, yeah, I want to say they end up getting away from the creature. I'm trying to figure out what happened because, yeah, they end up getting away from the creature and like settling down because like they haven't eaten. Not only that, but like Karoo just lost her grandmother, and she needs time to grieve. That's what Ren says and stuff like that. So of course, they take a moment and grieve, and not only grieve, but also eat something. And after they do that, um, they, I want to say they meet, but I'm trying to figure out how did chapter 1 end. I forgot how chapter 1 ends, but I know um with chapter 2 begins. We meet Ebony, who is a talking crow, and Ebony is telling, yeah, she's telling Ren and Karoo, like, I'm trying to, yeah, because I want to say how they, yeah, I want to say like in chapter 2, Karoo and Ren goes to the meadow that she met where like Val had taken her, and stuff like that, and they see a crow. They see a crow, and of course the crow talks, and we get the crow story. Her name is Ebony, and basically a human boy, well, not a human boy, what, well, yeah, basically a boy had healed her back because like she was injured because she fell out of her nest, and yeah, she was injured. The boy healed her back. When she was back in tip top shape, the boy took her back to her family, but she realized she doesn't want to be with her family because like of like all the foods that I guess she ate and like everything she was seeing like around her. She wanted more of that, so she went back with the boy, and then the boy ended up, you know, basically ended up saying a chant, and now she could understand him and other humans, and also talk to other humans, which freaks them out. But like now she's happy. She gets to learn and see the world and things like that. And I'm gonna be honest, Ebony the talking crow, I'm sorry, but she's adorable. She really is, cause like the first time we meet her, um, cause like I want to say Karoo because I don't think Carew realized that Ebony could talk at first. And so Carew just happened to say, "Hey, can you help me? I'm trying to find this guy." And then Ebony says, "It's funny that you mentioned." And then like Ren screams, um Carew screams, and Ebony screams, and then Ebony's like, "Oh my goodness, why do y'all humans do that?" Like it just was like a little like fun little moment there and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we meet Ebony, and Ebony takes Ren and Carew to where Val's at. And Val is looking, and when they do meet Val again, Val is looking angry at Carew and basically is saying, "What's wrong with this cloak? How come it doesn't work?" I know this is I know this cloak is a magic cloak, like, and I know that it's a suppressed cures, but why doesn't it work? And then Carew was like, "Well, that's what you get, because it's not for you. It's not for you." And I'm thinking to myself, the nerve, the audacity. That part right there made me not like Val. How you gonna be mad at somebody and you took their cloak and their cloak didn't work for you and now you mad at them? Like, excuse me, how does the audacity, the gall, I was just like, I was flabbergasted at like how he was acting, because I was like, really, you gonna take her cloak and you gonna get mad at her because it doesn't work for you? Of course it doesn't work for you. It was never meant for you. And so then he's like, well, take me to the person who made this. And of course, right, and of course the person who made this, grandma, and grandma's no longer with us. And so Carew had to tell him, like, yeah, grandma's no longer with us because when you took my cloak, like, monsters could like sense where I was, attack the town, and also kill grandma. So yeah. And you know, he's he frowned and stuff. But I'm thinking, like, you ain't gonna even say sorry. You're not even gonna be remorseful or anything like that. It's your fault that grandma is no longer with us. And I was like, yeah, that turned me off about. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That turned me off. I was like, I don't know what he could do to get back in my good graces, but and of course, he's like, so I'm assuming, because he's like, I'm assuming you have a plan. Are you like, yeah? He says, I'm assuming you have a plan of where to go to next. And Ren and Carew's like, the F? Like, excuse you, why are you worried about where we going? And apparently, he's trying to get the curse, like, because he's been cursed to turn into a wolf. And so, yeah, he's trying to get the curse off of him. He's trying to get that curse off of him. And so, of course, Carew's like, okay, why should I trust you? Because you stole my cloak, and it's because of you that this chaos is now, like, going on. And of course, Val's like, he gives her a amulet of protection, and basically what the amulet does is that, like, when Carew wear it, anybody who tries to attack her, they get attacked back and stuff like that. And he even says that it has limits, so the more she uses the amulet, the less power it has. Like, the power will fade, and then once it's all used up, it will break and stuff like that. And she's like, okay, that's a little cute little necklace to have. So she ends up taking it, and of course, she says, like, sure, you could come with us, especially since one of the creatures does end up finding her, but Val is able to, like, get rid of the creature because he's a sorcerer as well. And so Carew tells Val like, yeah, you could come with us, even though Ren, he doesn't like it, which I don't blame him, because you took her cloak and you have no sympathy. You did not even say I'm sorry for your cause. Don't like I'm sorry for your loss or nothing. You just be like, okay, so I'm assuming you got a plan and you trying to get rid of your curse. So where are you going? Type of vibe. I'm still mad at it. I was like, ah. But anywho, Karu, she's a nice person, and so she ends up telling him that they are going to the Fae Forest to find the help of a Fae, to help with the curse. And that's how chapter 2 ends. And like I said, I enjoyed every moment of it again. There were some cute little moments, especially with Ebony. Like, I I don't know if it's just me, but I love a talking animal in the story. Like, I don't know if anybody else could relate, but I love me a talking animal. So I'm so glad that we have a talking animal, and her name is Ebony. Yes. um, love that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the story, and I can't wait for chapter 3. I think what I'm going to do with this, um series, because I do enjoy it. I think with every like chapter um that comes out, I think I'm just going to play it and then give you my thoughts and opinions on that chapter right then and there. So that means like the videos are going to be short, and hopefully y'all don't mind short videos. But yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna do it that way. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I can't wait for chapter 3. I like Ren more than Val at this moment, because Val is still on my hit list. I'm sorry, like he is. He made me so mad, because it's like, how you gonna take somebody's cloak and then you don't even say sorry for their loss because they lost their grandma? Like, you just heartless, like just heartless. But let me know what you guys think, especially those who are playing the story as well. I'm thinking, yeah, VIP. If you are a VIP member, let me know what you guys think of the story. And also, if y'all have watched Locum 23 playlist, also let me know what you think of the story so far. Like, when it comes out, do you think you will play it? Or if you are playing right now, are you going to continue to play it? And if so, who are you sticking with now as a love interest? Because again, so far, Ren is in the lead. I don't know about Val right now. Val, he. Mm. But that's all I have to say about the Cursed Cloak. Again, thank you so much. If you have stayed to the end of this video, I appreciate it. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.